What's happening, my friends? Jason Woodland back again with Always the Journey TV. We are on episode number 47. Moving right along, introducing you to all kinds of amazing people out here in the community. This is Always the Journey TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, which I know you do, throw us a thumbs up, give us a comment, and also subscribe to the channel. I would sincerely appreciate that. We're here to spotlight people in the community and learn more about their businesses, their jobs, their artwork, their side hustles, their event spaces, their community work, and everything in between. Today's small business shout out goes out to Dragon Diner. They're located at 1331 East, 3900 South. It's directly east of that 7-Eleven, and it's almost diagonally across the street from St. Mark's Hospital. So go and check them out. Today, I'm ultra excited to introduce you to my friend, Dorie Olds. We've known each other for a few years now, and we've got to learn a lot about her history, most recently on Netflix. So she was born and raised in Sugar House. She attended Highland High School, Dixie College, and Utah State. Her major was nutrition and food science. So that's really cool. Around that time, she quit school and she was married to a person by the name of Mark Hoffman in 1979. Dorie was always interested in holistic health. So after she was divorced in 1988, she was able to pursue her interest in education for herself, and she went all in, and she's been able to learn a lot of really cool stuff, and we're going to be able to learn a lot more about it on this interview. So back in 1997, she trained in a modality called Reiki that we're going to learn a lot more about today. She trained also in aesthetics and lymphatic massage in 1998. Also in 1998, she started a business around that time. And then she trained in hypnosis and palm therapy in the year 2000. And then she also co-founded a group practice in 1999. And then she started her company that we're going to be talking about today in April of 2020. So that's really exciting stuff there. During the 2005, 2014, she was also adjunct faculty and presenter at National Guild of Hypnosis Annual Convention. In 2016, she was a speaker at the UN International Women of the Mountains at UVU. And then, like I said, she started her business just last year. And most recently, you can see Dorie Olds being interviewed on the Netflix hit. It's called Murder Among the Mormons, and very interesting story there. So if you have a chance to check that out, definitely dive in. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely excited to introduce you to my friend Dorie Olds. What's happening?
Hello there.
What's going on? You having a good day?
I'm having a really good day, and now it's even better seeing you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That means the world.
We don't usually see Tuesdays.
Exactly. So it's fun to be able to talk to you a little bit further and do a deep dive on your business and so forth. But before we jump into some of the questions, I know that some of my viewers would be interested to maybe learn just a tiny bit more about this experience you had on Netflix. I mean, of course, you're an international star now, Dorie.
Well, I was an international star years ago because in 2004 there was twice there were camera crews that came from England that came over and did some BBC productions. So it isn't the first time I'm an international star, but this is a definitely bigger audience. I've done multiple projects and multiple different shows that are on like cable TV areas, Oxygen Channel and different ones like that. But this is definitely the biggest. They have the most promotion. It's the biggest audience. It definitely made a big splash. So it was definitely different than at other times.
Yeah, I could only imagine. And obviously, you've shared your story with me throughout the last few years, and very interesting stuff there for sure. And for those of you who are not familiar, like I said, definitely check that out on Netflix. What is your, let's say, feeling of the experience being on Netflix? I mean, that's a big deal, and obviously, your name has been known for many years, but being on Netflix now, and what is that like?
That's really hard to explain, but it definitely, more people know me. Definitely, I've had a lot of more people reaching out, and especially a lot of people from the past that I haven't talked to for a while that reached out, and it's reached a large audience. So it is. I keep saying that. Definitely interesting. Um, it was great to have on Netflix to have a crew, to have an entourage, I would say, to have the makeup person, and to have everyone making sure that you sound good in the lighting and the makeup. And it's like, where's my crew now? I need to have them. I don't look as good now than I did on that show,
Oh,
because
you look great.
it's like, so that's definitely different, and then again, they did a lot of the PR was different, and it was a lot bigger PR, but it was, and I have some PR people now that I can call. So I feel really special.
Wow. Yeah, that's ultra interesting. I don't have makeup people either though, so we're okay. We're in the same boat.
Yeah, it is interesting to have. I can understand why the stars get to that.
Yeah.
Used to that.
Yeah, seriously. I think maybe I'll ask just one other question before we deep dive into what you're up to these days. What was your initial feeling when everything came down regarding Mark and what he was into?
Okay, what point in time are you referring to?
When everything unraveled and you realized what Mark was doing throughout those years.
Okay, because this is part of my story, because that didn't unravel for me for a while. It wasn't until later.
Okay, well let's move into that then.
Things started happening and stuff was going on, but I did not believe that he was involved, and that was part of where people are like, "What is wrong with you? You're so stupid." I didn't believe he was involved for a very long time, and that was why it wasn't in the beginning that. I mean, there was stresses and there was stuff happening, but I literally could not believe that he would be doing those things. I mean, that literally, I could not believe he would have uh, killed people with a bomb. I couldn't believe he would have bombed himself. All those things. It took me a long while to really understand that he did that, because I did not believe it. And that's where people get really shocked and really surprised. And I was asked that question on the Netflix, and the producer Tyler comes over and says, "Everyone here is so shocked." And it's like, well, what do I do about your shocked? I mean, that's not my job to take care of your shock. And it was the truth. I mean, this is where I was, and I didn't believe it. I didn't think he was capable. And this is where other people who ask this question, I tell them this is why when you have criminals, when you have people who they get plea deals or they make deals with the FBI, or something happens where they say, okay, well, you can help us now, because they have those people who can see it. They have the people who can see the crimes, help find the criminals, help detect that. Because when you don't have a heart, which is based in that with hurting people, you don't have that thought of how can I deceive people, or how can I trick people. It isn't, you don't see it. That is something that's why they have that. I can't remember that show with that one Frank somebody, I can't remember his name, that was doing different personas, and then he ended up helping the FBI. They need those kind of people, because that's where they've been, that's where they're thinking, that's where their focus has been, and therefore they can see, oh, I can see what the crime this person's doing. And actually, I remember going, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. I remember going with Mark to a couple of museums, and he would say that letter on the wall over there is a forgery. This is a forgery. That he would tell me that certain of these documents were hanging on walls weren't even accurate. And I was like, and I mean, he was in the document business, so I believed him. But it makes sense now. It's like, oh, he was forging so he could see forgeries. That makes more sense now. But at the time, that didn't mean anything to me. But he could. So there's things on the walls in different museums that are actually fakes that he pointed out. So this is where
that has to be surreal.
Because I believed him. He said, that's not his real signature. And he knew his real signature because he'd studied it. Abraham Lincoln was one of them that they were saying that was not a right letter. And so there's a lot of fake history that we think is right and it isn't. So I'll just put it that way.
Wow. I mean, that has to be, I mean, surreal to say the least, when you've got someone who is such an accomplished forger pointing out things in a museum,
Mm-hmm.
telling you, and of course you're like, hey, I know you specialize in rare documents, so of course you're going to believe them on that line, and to touch base on your feelings, and for anybody to say that anything negative about you regarding you should have known or something. I mean, that's ridiculous, because when you're, first of all, when you know somebody on a whole different plane, you could never even dream of them doing something else, especially some heinous crime. Like, it's not even in your periphery at all.
Exactly. And he started doing this when he was 14, so he was very good.
Wow.
He was and he had a persona, with his family, that of being one person when he was really another. So he had a lot of practice. By the time I got into his life, he'd had 10 years of practice, so he was really, really good. I'll just put it that way.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating for sure. So yeah, let's tie it in a little bit, because the first question I wanted to ask is, what inspired you to get involved in the kind of business that you're in, because your business is all about helping people, and obviously there's a lot of past experience you have where you can share not only knowledge and wisdom, but also your energy with people to help them sort of cross that chasm of whatever they're dealing with. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, the Reiki and the hypnosis were two of the tools that really helped me. Get over a lot of the trauma that I had gone through, and what I was living in. That you have to move through. You have to get over things. You have to get your energy changed, and these two tools really helped me. The massage was a little different story, but there's two different areas with this. One is what helped me and what I found in my own experience, and the other was that interest that we talked about in the beginning of really interested in these alternative areas and the different types of healing. There's so many different types of healings and what they do and how they help people. And so I had two interests, and I had an experience in and I can't remember exactly when it was. Mark had he went to jail a couple of times, and then before he went to prison, and so he was gone. It was a time when he was gone, and I'm not sure if it was when he was in jail or when he was in prison. And I can't. Sometimes you think you'll remember everything, and then you don't. But he was gone, and my family came over, and they were upset, and they were wanting to help me. And of course, what do you say? No one can take it away. They just are kind of feeling helpless. And so I started to talk to them, and I helped them feel really good, and I helped them feel better. And they left really uplifted and really feeling good. And I thought, when I felt good too, because it helped make me feel better. And so that, in a way, that was my really first experience of helping people with stress management. And I really didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I was just doing more what was just coming naturally to me. And so that, when I look back, I can see that experience. It's like, wow, I did that clear back then. The other thing that was happening was I was finding myself being drawn to certain things. And through this journey, I did have family, I did have friends, I did have people in my life. I was totally alone. But there was a place within me that felt totally like no one on this planet could help me. That's the only way I would say it. No one could help me. And I found myself turning to that higher source, turning to God, turning to that source, and getting answers, getting support, getting I don't know, support, I guess that's the word. Just feeling supported. And that's the thing I talked in that KSL. I can't remember exactly what the date in March. It was in KS. I did a KSL piece for them. So that I talked more about that in that one. If you want to go, someone wants to go look at that on. But I talked more about the spiritual aspects and the support I felt. And as I was getting more, my faith was getting stronger. And as I was getting a stronger connection, I found myself being drawn to, it's like, go do this, go do that, go find this. And the massage was something that I was like, go get massage, go get massage. And I was like, really? And I just kept resisting it. And like, why would I want to do that? And I didn't really feel like that was the right thing for me, but yet it kept persisting. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do a massage. I get the message. Finally, when I'm not going to resist anymore. And then I had to find the right school and the right place. And I couldn't find that. And I kept looking and looking. And finally, one day, this gentleman was talking to me and said, oh, I'm taking this class from this woman. And as soon as he mentioned her name, I know she was the right one. And she had been serving an LDS mission and was not even in town. So no wonder I couldn't find her. And she was the one that I trained with. And I have found in my life that when I listen, opportunities open up and I know exactly where to go and what to do. And so I had the Reiki and I had that first, and I was drawn to the right person for that. And I was invited to a multi-level party for a natural cleaner. And I told my friend, no, I'm not coming. I don't have any money. I don't want to do that. I hate going to places when you can't buy anything because you don't have any money. And I always want it. And you want it, but you can't. I told her I wouldn't come. And then I ended up getting my car and going right over there. And I didn't buy the product at that point, but I met the woman and she was the one that actually trained me in Reiki. So this is where I've just learned to listen. And so the first journey was 97 was Reiki. Then 98 was the lymphatic massage and the aesthetics. And I don't do the aesthetics right now, but I did do the facials and the waxing and all of the things that you do with aesthetics. And I really enjoyed it and I liked it. And then I learned hypnosis. And as I was learning the hypnosis, I realized I wanted to work more from inside out rather than outside in. And a lot of the women, and well, there were men too, but mostly women that were coming in for the aesthetics, they didn't want to work on the inside. And that's where I wanted to work. And so I ended up letting that part go and just starting with the hypnosis. And all of these three areas were nothing that I decided when, I didn't tell my family when I was growing up, I want to be a hypnotist when I grow up. None of these things I even really knew until it was just when in that moment, the door opened. Okay, I'm stepping into this. This is what it feels right. And then each one of them I found myself really liking and really being good at. And so it was more, so there were kind of two ways that was happening. It was, one was interest, and then the other was just letting myself be guided and drawn to those things. And those are still that was clear back then. And those are still the same things I do today. So.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So, let's talk a little bit more in detail about, okay, so your specialties are hypnosis, lymphatic massage, and Reiki. Which do you think that you focus the most on out of those three things?
The hypnosis is what I do mostly.
Okay. And you're saying that it was a combination of a few of those things that also helped you sort of move past the experiences that you went through with Mark. Is that correct?
Yeah. I didn't do a lot. I didn't do massages. I didn't have massages. I did have the Reiki. I did have the hypnosis, and I had people working with me with that. And I also worked with myself on those are the two main ones, but there are other things also that helped me. But those are the two that were the best, most beneficial to me.
Okay. So when it comes to hypnosis, tell us a little bit more about sort of how that process works. Because I think for someone who has never gone through that process in terms of almost like a therapy, they might be skeptical or they might be afraid. Can you sort of shine some light on how that hypnosis process works and what kind of people it can help?
Well, first of all, I want to share a fun fact, which
Please.
I didn't know in the beginning when I did this, because I have to learn too what happened in my own life, because you don't know until you learn about yourself. But apparently, one of the ways that Mark would do the forgeries is he would hypnotize himself. And so I didn't know that he was doing self-hypnosis. So that was an interesting thing to have that happening then. And then my being drawn to the hypnosis. And so it's like, wow, I would never have thought of that would happen. That's very interesting. So
can you expand on that a little bit? So why would he self-hypnotize? Like, would he put himself almost into the time?
He'd put himself into a trance. I don't know the details. But he would put himself in a trance when he was doing his forgeries. And I don't know if he would connect with the person. I don't know I have no idea. That's very interesting to me how that would happen. And I don't know, but that's what I do understand is that's what happened. And I have not been drawn to hypnosis. I was not thinking of hypnosis. That was nothing in part of my life. I saw the stage. It wasn't anything I was even really interested in until I was introduced to it. And then my friend would say, you need to do this. No, you need to do this. No, I don't need to do that. And finally I said, okay, I'll do this but I don't think I'll ever use it. But okay, you want me to train, I'll go ahead and train. And I did. And I wasn't doing the hypnosis in that company I was with. I wasn't doing the hypnosis. Another person was. And that person was upset one day and left, and I got a phone call. I would come home. I'd leave about 5 and then go back at 7, and I'd come home to have dinner with my kids. And then I'd go back for evening appointments and make sure everything was okay at home. And I got a phone call that said, can you come back? We have a person coming in for stop smoking, and we need someone to do this session, and they paid for it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't really done that kind of a session before. Okay, I guess I'm going to go and do this today. And I don't know if that was really that good of a session, but I learned how to do good sessions from that. And it ended up being one of the main things I do, which is really interesting because I thought the massage would be what I would be doing more. But because that is, I mean, the massage is great. It's a great thing. But the hypnosis is what I end up doing more. But that's the process of doing the hypnosis. First, what I do with people, I do a consultation, see what their experience is, if they've ever been hypnotized before formally, if what they're working on, where they are, and where they want to be. Those are the things that are really important. And if they're willing to work with me, and I have to have willingness. This is something that you want to be with a person that's open. You want to be with someone that's willing to listen and be coached and be willing to change. And so that's a very important aspect. The actual process of it is very simple. If you think of yourself, how many times have you done that highway hypnosis? Do you know what highway hypnosis is? The highway hypnosis, where you're driving along a road that you've been multiple times, and then you get home and you don't remember driving. You don't remember. So that's called highway hypnosis, where you end up going to a trance state. Your subconscious mind is actually driving. You're on the automatic pilot. You're safe. You're fine, but you don't remember. That's highway hypnosis. Or you go into a movie and you remember you're watching the screen. And of course, maybe you haven't been to a movie in the theater for a little while. Depends on the person. That maybe someone moves next to you on the seat, or you hear someone cough, and suddenly you realize, oh, I'm in the theater. For a moment, I was in the movie. I was there in the movie. That's a trance state. Or if you're on a computer and you're just really concentrating and absorbed, and somebody's calling your name, or maybe you do this to a child and you're calling the child's name, but they're not hearing you. Obviously, their ears are working, but they're not hearing. That's a trance state. You're so focused that you're not hearing. You're not noticing anything around. You've got a really narrow area of focus, and it's like everything else is gone. And so you don't hear that person. Maybe they'll tap you on the shoulder. Why aren't you answering me? And it's like, well, I didn't hear you. Well, you were in a trance state. So we go into these trance states multiple times a day. It's not supernatural. It's not paranormal. I am just on demand taking you into that state on purpose. That's all. So it's something you're already doing. We have 4 brainwave patterns: alpha, theta, beta, alpha, theta, delta. And you go in and out of those all during the day. You go down through that when you go to sleep. You go up through it when you back up through when you wake up. These are normal places. And it's my job to just assist you in going into that on purpose. And all you have to do, it's really simple to hypnotize somebody. It's very dramatic when you're on the stage because it has to be entertaining. And the stage hypnotists know how to be entertaining and know how to do things in a dramatic or fun way. When you're with someone one-to-one, of course, there's no audience. No one is going to be barking like a dog or quacking like a duck because there's no reason. That's one of the questions that gets asked. Are you going to make me do that? Well, only if you want to, but there isn't any reason. So all you have to do, like right now, if you were just to close your eyes, now you're kind of maybe a little more hyper aware because you're on a broadcast right now. But if you were to just close your eyes, all automatically your focus will go inside. You'll notice more how your body's feeling. And you're automatically going out of beta into alpha. You're just automatically doing that just by closing your eyes. So if I have someone in my chair that's very comfy, I just have them close their eyes. That's the first step. Just go ahead and close your eyes. Get yourself comfortable. You're already on your way. Half the work is already done.
Interesting.
Going the rest of the way is really easy. And if someone's nervous, then that's where I would do a little bit extra, because if you're nervous, that's going to keep you out of that state. And so it's something that using that relax. Now, you don't have to be relaxed to be hypnotized. You can get hypnotized in stressful situations too, but that's not what I'm using in my office, because I don't want to do that. I want you to be relaxed. So it really is quite simple. And then with what we've already discussed and what we've talked about, then I would bring in suggestions. I would talk to your subconscious mind and bring in the things that need to be for that session for the result that you want. So like for someone who stopped smoking, I would begin to say that you find it easy to be a non-smoker. You're happy to be a non-smoker. Doing those different suggestions, replacing the cigarette with water. So you're drinking more water. Anytime you want a cigarette, you find yourself drinking water. So those are the things I would do. And I have a pretty high rate. I have about 85% rate of success with stop smoking. So that's pretty high, but that's with stop smoking. And so each session, there's different sessions, different ways for different types of areas that people want to change. And if there's something that I know somebody else is better at, I will refer them. I have a list of people who, if I need to refer, I will. If someone needs to be seeing a psychologist or someone who has more training, then I will send them to them. So it's just it's they get the help they need. Whatever. If I can't do it, then I'll send them somewhere where they can. But there are specialties in different areas, and there are areas which I'm not as good at as someone else in certain places. So I'm more of the family practitioner, doing the stop smoking, doing the weight loss. I do a lot of stress relief, career, people with money. They want some money goals, or there's blocks with money. Those I do. A lot of sports. I don't know why. I'm not a sports person. I think I did dodgeball and I did volleyball and a little basketball in high school, but wasn't really a good athlete. But I am good at sports. And I did have my most famous client was a skier in the 2002 Olympics that won a silver. She wasn't supposed to even make it onto the ski team. She was discouraged and was coming in, and not only did she make it the ski team, but she won a medal. So that was pretty awesome. So that's my little yay.
That's way cool.
But I've had a couple MBA people call me. I've done some college ball and done a lot of backflips for gymnastics, which not as much now because of the COVID thing, but a lot of elementary age girls coming in that did backflips perfectly till one day they realized, oh, I'm flipping backwards and I can't see where I'm going. And then they got scared. Then they had to go back and relearn how to do that. That's how we grow up. We do things fine as a child until we get a little old enough to see, oh, this could hurt me, even though I've never been hurt. And then we get scared. And so I've done a lot of it for elementary and high school. And I did for a while, I did a lot of rodeo. I was doing the barrel racing and had some college kids that were on the rodeo team up in Wyoming, and they sent all their friends down. And so they were really happy about that because they were winning medals, they were like, I guess it's belt buckles, I think they get in the rodeo, but
wow.
So it's interesting because I would just say, people come in and, well, I haven't done this exact thing, but it's kind of like that other thing. So sure, I'll do it. And so I found out that I was good with sports, which I find it really easy. So I guess that's where, someone like you have a Jackie Robinson who, throws the ball and even though you have a gift, but then you educate your gift. But I found that really easy. And it's like, yeah, I can do that. So that's one of the easiest things to do is sports. And I don't know. I have no idea why. It's just funny to me because I'm not a sports person.
Okay. That's really cool. Okay. So if someone has got smoking issues and they want to stop,
yeah.
If they've got something to do with their weight, they want to navigate, if they've got maybe some kind of a mental block, whether they've always had the mental block or maybe it's been induced at some point later on, like you were talking about with the gymnastics. Those are all things you like to work with, and then families, and then sports.
And sports,
So
a lot of areas. Like I work with cancer patients with their chemo symptoms. I've worked with pain. I have a number. I don't think the doctor retired. I had a doctor for a while that was sending me his patients that he couldn't help with pain, and then he would send them to me. So there's lots of areas that hypnosis can work. If you can think about if you can look at what you have now, and you can think about what you want to have, you can use hypnosis for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been for many years have done meditation, and in essence, meditation, from what you're saying, is a form of hypnosis.
Well, what the difference between meditation and hypnosis is that the function. So sometimes there's guided meditations, which actually in a way is the hypnosis, because you're using visualizations and you're putting something in that person's mind. So that's very similar. But with the meditation where you're like emptying your thoughts, or you're just focusing on one thing, that's a little different function, but it's the same place. You're going to the same place.
Okay, interesting. So let's touch on Reiki for a moment, which is funny that I just utilized the terminology touch on Reiki, because Reiki, you're not actually touching anybody. Is that correct?
You can be touch or non-touch. It depends.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Reiki is and what that means?
Reiki is a Japanese word. You have Rei, R-E-I, which is like spirit of God or God spirit. And then you have ki, which is your own energy, your own personal energy. And what I say is it's like a joint venture. You're using both energies. And it's in the 1920s, a gentleman, Mikao Usui, was looking. He had been reading in some Sanskrit records about this energy, and he was trying to find somebody to teach him. He wanted to learn it, and he kept. I don't know all of his journey, but he was at it and was very sincere, and he was at it a long time. And finally, he went up Mount Kurama, which is in Japan, and he said, "I'm not coming down. I'm either not going to come down, or I'm going to have this energy when I come down." And he was up there for 21 days, and he had water, but he didn't have any food. And he was gifted with this gift, and he learned how to use it, and he learned how to pass it on. And it's a really high frequency energy, and we have a spiritual anatomy. We have chakras, and we have meridians, and we have different spiritual bodies where different layers are, like something we call it our aura, but we have different levels and layers in those auras, and there's 7 levels, and those match with the 7 main chakras. And they're different systems. Some say 9 chakras, some say 11. It depends on the system you use. They have but in these chakras, that's where the energy will come through the crown. You've got a chakra on your crown, and the energy will come in through the crown. You can feel it coming in, and it will come out the hands. And so when you are attuned to that, you need an attunement where it's like a radio. You're adjusting the radio signal. And nowadays, not a lot of people maybe have the experience with the dial, where you'd have to turn the dial, and you'd have to get it just right. And maybe you're driving across country, and you lose one station, and it's all static, and then you keep turning the dial until you find another station that you can hear that's more clear. And that's what's happening with your energy, is you're tuning with that energy. Once you attune with that, then you can actually channel that energy through you. And it comes out, it goes in through the crown and comes out your hands. And it's a high frequency, and the high frequency is very healing. And our spirits are that energetic self that we have, our essence, wants to be higher frequency. We feel better the more higher frequency we go. And if you look at like essential oils, or if you look at organic food, or filtered water, the difference between filtered water and non-filtered water, there may be a number of differences, like with the different minerals or things that are in there, different chemicals in there. But yet what happens is the frequency is different. It raises the frequency. And so what we're drawn to is those things that raise frequency. And when you raise your frequency, then you feel better. And Gary Young with Young Living, what he said was anything below 57 hertz is illness. And so you want to keep everything above 57 hertz. And I think that's right at the borderline. You want to definitely be higher than that. But this is what's happening, is it's raising your frequency. And it's hard to explain. It's something that you, as you go through the levels of training, you can learn to do it. You first learn how to do it in person with somebody, and then you can learn how to do it in distance and no space or time. So I could, using those techniques, I could send it ahead of me. So when I go someplace, it's there waiting for me. Or I can, as I have an awareness of something that happened in the past, or I have a remembrance, I can send Reiki back to that time and have it. And as it goes back in the past, anything in the past affects the present. It actually heals where I am right now. So there's some very advanced techniques you can use with it. What I like to do is teach it to people because they can have it for themselves. And what I call it is a first aid kit in your hand, because I have had multiple times when I've cut myself, my hands, and I should have gone and needed stitches, and I should have gone to the hospital, should have gone and got the stitches. And I was able to, with the Reiki over time, and sometimes with more than me, with other people, heal that. And so I didn't have to go to the hospital. I didn't have to have the stitches, didn't have to have that happen. There's multiple times when there's been experiences of that healing for myself and for others. And one of the attributes that I've given to Reiki is that attribute for myself is that I had a lot of heartache. I mean, when you've given yourself to a person and feel like this is your forever spouse, forever life, forever, you're looking at being with that person for your whole life, and then realize that depth of betrayal and that the usury. I mean, I was definitely used, and that, I had that broken heart. And using Reiki every day since 1997, because that's when I was trained, that helped my heart to heal. I know that made a difference. And if I had to pay somebody, or if I'd had to say, okay, I want you to come over every day to my house so you can do Reiki for me, I don't know who would do that. I don't know, even if I have a child or someone that's, I don't even know that anyone would want to do that. So my being able to do that for myself every single day, I would just put my hands, you just put your hands, just cover the area with your hands and just let that energy flow. That really helped heal my heart physically, but also energetically. And anything that's energetic affects our physical body. So we have the chakras affect physically the different areas of the body that they're related to. And so when I do Reiki for another person, I can hold my hands a few inches away, or I can put my hands right on their arm or their leg. And either way, whatever they prefer, it's going to go first to their field and heal the spirit, and then it's going to go into the body and heal that body. So it actually heals, I say it heals body, mind, and spirit. And it's a really good thing when I get flustered, sometimes I put my hands on my head and just Reiki myself, and it helps me calm down. And there's lots of really good things that, especially when you do it every day, just like a supplement that you take every single day, and your body's healing because it's getting it every day, or keeping your body hydrated from drinking really good water every day. Doing it every day is a really good thing. And you really need to do that every day. You need to have somebody, you need to do it for yourself. You need to be able to be trained in that. So that's why I like to have people trained. And you can use it. You put the energy around your water. You put the energy around your medications. You put the energy around your food. Everything is raising in frequency. You put it around plants. You put it around your kids. You put it around your pets. Anything of life, it will support. And it's a really good thing to have. It is a first aid kit, and many, many things that I have helped with my kids and my grandkids that would have been worse if I hadn't done the Reiki.
Wow. Okay.
For me, it's a great empowerment tool. I want to empower people and put the tools in their hands. And this is a great empowering tool for them to have. And so that's why my focus is more on teaching it.
Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. That gives me a better understanding of sort of how that works. Obviously, having that experience directly is going to be, the best way to understand it and learn it, of course. And then the third thing, you do some lymphatic massage. Can you give us just sort of a high level of like what is the main benefits of lymphatic massage?
So what you're doing with the lymphatic massage is you're moving the lymphatic fluid, which is that it's interstitial fluid. You have in between the cells is this fluid, and what happens is that the cells dump the waste into that fluid, and then the fluid is either through your sweat or through your through the urinary system. It removes that. But if it's slowed down, if it's sluggish, it's going to hang around. It's going to cause stagnation. It actually ends up causing disease if you don't take care of it. And I can look at someone and I can see the color of their skin, or I can see how they look, and I can say, oh, their lymphatic system is not working quite right. It's a really important thing. And if you exercise, that's moving the lymphatic. There isn't a pump like the blood, the heart pumps the blood. There isn't a pump. But if you exercise, if you do bouncing on a rebounders are really good. Those kind of things, you're moving that. But if someone is not feeling good, or they're getting a little older and they're getting more sedentary, they're not moving that like it should. And it starts to stagnate, and it really is an important thing. And so what I do is I recommend someone come in for a series of 10, and I have multiple testimonials where someone's like, here's where I was before, here's where I was after that series. And when you do a lymphatic massage, it improves that the movement of that fluid through the lymph nodes and through the system, and it draws out of the cells for about a week. And so if you do one by the time the next week comes, it's starting to slow down, but then you do another massage, you continually keep that going, there's going to be an increase in the health. And it is really a good thing. And I've had multiple clients who like come in every week or every 2 weeks, and they attribute their health to those massages, that they feel like that was really making a difference for them. So it really is a good thing to have.
Yeah, it sounds like it. This has been, extremely good to be able to have this conversation with you, to learn more about the things that you specialize in, and what you do to help others. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that. If someone wanted to get a hold of you and either learn a little bit more about those modalities you specialize in, or actually schedule an appointment, what is the best way to do so?
Well, you can go to the website. It's probably the best way. And you go to the website, and then you can call me or you can email me, and we can schedule the first appointment is usually a consultation, which is free. You can just talk. And sometimes if you feel comfortable enough, we can just go right into, after that consultation, into an appointment. But it does give you a chance to talk and see if you want to do this. We need to have enough information to make a choice. And so that consultation is helping you have that information. No, there's no pressure. No, you have to do anything. So just come in and talk to me. We can see how I can help you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. So, as far as scheduling, at that point, when you're on the initial phone call, you'll be able to let them know, like, let's schedule the first appointment. And then at that time, you can maybe say, hey, you know what, I'd maybe recommend doing, X amount of times, or I guess that it's just all sort of built specific to the person, right? Yes,
exactly. It's something that they need to be talking to them. I don't have a one size fits all anything except the consultation. It's a one consultation. But yeah,
that's awesome.
Need to talk to me, and we'll see what's next after that.
Cool. So before I ask you my final question, is there anything that I may have missed regarding your business or any of your specialties that we should share with my viewers?
Well, one of the things people ask me all the time is, why did you call it the School of Creation? And what I want to do is give people the manual they didn't get when they were born. And the creation process is different than a linear process. You do step 1, you do step 2, you do step 3. In a creation process, it's working with that law of attraction, it's working with the law of vibration, working with frequencies. And it's also, sometimes you're quantum leaping, and things can change really fast, and you can learn how to be with yourself, how to create thoughts, how to put a focus on something that manifests. That's what I'm about. And so it really is about helping people to be fully human, and human beings are really, really amazing. I think we give ourselves and others a bad rap. because we really are amazing people, and lots of things that can happen that are normal but seem paranormal. They're called paranormal, but they really are normal for us. So we need to get in our normal state and walking in miracles, expecting quantum leaping. We need to get out of the boxes that we've been either taught or believed that are there.
That is awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, without a doubt. So Dorie, what is one of your favorite quotes, favorite songs, or both?
Okay, so I've been thinking about my favorite song, and the one that goes in my mind most of the time is called the Garden Song. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not sure.
Written by David Mallet in 1976, and it's been sung by Pete Seeger. It's been sung by Peter Palmieri. It's been sung by John Denver. It's kind of a folk song, but it's about a garden, and I really love it. Arlo Guthrie sings it too. So that's my favorite song. That's the one I sing a lot, especially in the spring when I'm in the garden, working in the garden. So
awesome. I love it. And then how about a favorite quote?
Well, my favorite quote is interesting because it's been attributed to Albert Einstein, but then now people said, no, it's a Neinstein, meaning that it's attributed to him, but it really isn't him, which I don't know if that's true or not. It's all we have is what people say. So I don't know who if it isn't Albert Einstein, I don't know who it's attributed to, but I like it because I like to live in a life of miracles. And it says there is only two ways to live your life. One is as though everything is a miracle, and the other one is though nothing is a miracle. And I prefer to live everything is a miracle. I prefer to live expecting miracles. I prefer, because I've had those a lot in my life, and it's like just living in miracles and walking in miracles. That's what I want to, where I want to live.
I love it. That is so awesome. That's a very good quote, and I agree. I choose to see that life the same way. Well, Dorie, this has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show and teaching us more about your business and some of your history and your history that connects into why you're doing the business that you're doing. And I'm very thankful for you as a friend.
Well, I appreciate you, and I have enjoyed you in being associated with you. And I consider you my friend too.
Thank you so much. Well, if you don't mind hanging tight a few moments, I'm going to wrap up the show, and then we'll talk for a few moments. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
All right. We'll talk to you in just one moment. So there you have it, my friends. Dorie Olds, the founder of School of Creation. So definitely look her up, check out her website. And if you're in the need of any of those services, I mean, she does some awesome stuff, and she's an amazing human being. So definitely reach out to her, set up an initial consultation, and go from there. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on Always the Journey TV. I sincerely appreciate you dedicating your time to watching these interviews with these wonderful people out here in the community. Don't forget to subscribe wherever the subscribe button is, and throw us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If I don't have the answer, Dorie will. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Take care, friends.